you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about Paldean Fates, and I need to give you my general standard warning: stop buying singles. Although really, if we're honest, I'm not actually saying don't buy singles, I'm saying be very careful buying singles. We're at that stage now where the set has just come out. And even then, when I say the set has just come out, that's not actually strictly true. Some of it has come out. Now, every card is out there, every card is available. But not every product is available. So if you want to go and buy an Elite Trainer box, wonderful news. They're out, you can. If you want to buy yourself a tech sticker collection, wonderful news. You can. But anything else you can't right now. They are the only products that have been released. There are 2 more waves of products coming in 2 and 4 weeks respectively. And then everything will be available. Then we'll have everything and all products will be available to be bought. So, just as always, remember, we are in the early stages. Now, the good news is, with it being a special set, it's not going to be exactly the same as between a pre-release. So, for instance, when we had Paradox Rift, the last main set, we obviously had a pre-release, so we had like 2 weeks where the cards were only available at, local game stores when you went along and joined them with a pre-release, and then you could go and buy it properly. The set is out. All of the cards are available, and in theory, depending on stock and all of that, you can walk into any of your local game stores right now and buy these cards. They are there, they are available. Just remember, prices are going to go down. The prices people are generally paying right now for these cards is generally too high. If you wait a week or 2, you are probably going to find that the prices stabilize quite a bit, and then you're going to be able to get some bargains. I would wait at least a week before trying to get any of these cards. Like, for instance, the Charizard. Now look, it's Charizard. This was always going to be the card, because it's Charizard. In any set where there is a Charizard, Charizard is the card. It's always the case. Now, people tried starting at 250, really were down at 200, but the last 3 solds are solds at 175, 190, and 187 over on TCG Player. This isn't a hypothetical thing where people are trying to sell the card for this much. These are solds over on TCG Player that people have actually paid the money for. It's not a hypothetical. This has actually happened. And we can head on over to eBay, and we're going to see a very similar kind of thing here. Because, well, it's early, and we see this every time, frankly. It's a Charizard, it's shiny, it's brand new, it's been out for, well, as I record this, a couple of hours. Although I was seeing a bunch of pre-orders are actually arriving at people's doors yesterday. And if we have a look, there's a bunch of people listing it for like $250 and $380 and frankly ridiculous prices. I don't think that's necessarily reliable. And look, I'm not going to look at a listing for $380 and go, oh look, Charizard's a $380 card. Nah, mate, that's not how it works. Just because somebody is listing it for $380 doesn't mean it's actually a $380 card. When it comes to eBay, what we really need to do is we need to have a look and actually see what people are paying for it. We need to see what the solds look like, and that'll give us a much better idea of exactly what people are actually paying for it. So if we do that, we go and have a look and actually see what they've sold for, it's still around $200. The last 2 solds are $200 and $207.50. Now, the $200 was a buy it now. Somebody went, oh, $200, there we go, that'll do, I'll pay that. But the other one was bid up. People felt comfortable bidding until that card got to $207, which is absurd. Absolutely absurd. I can't tell you one way or the other, all right? I don't know, but I do feel pretty confident that in a couple of weeks, this is going to be a significantly cheaper card. Honestly, in 1 week, I think this is going to be a significantly cheaper card. But we can keep going. Weirdly, at the moment, the number 2 card according to TCG Player, is the special illustration rare of Gardivoir. Now, this one is confusing me a little bit here, because this was, don't get me wrong, it was up there when we look at the Japanese set. I'm not saying this was some kind of like super cheap card over in Japan or anything silly like that. Obviously, if we look at the Japanese set, this is going to be one of the most expensive cards. What I mean is, it is above cards on TCG Player right now that I don't think it should be above. Like, the good news is the actual last sold is 110, but there's also sold for 150 and 165. And to be blunt, I don't think there should be. This seems too high to me. And we'll go to the other cards in a minute, but this just frankly seems a little bit too high for me. This is one that I've got my eye on. And look, I know Gardevoir is a very popular Pokemon, don't get me wrong. And I know that Gardevoir is a very playable card right now. I'm casting the Liverpool Regional Championships this weekend. I'm expecting to see a bunch of Gardevoir. That is something I'm expecting to see all over the place. But realistically, second biggest card in the set. The good news is, well, not to be too blunt about it, TCG Player lying to us. And look, TCG Player isn't lying to us. This is what people are buying and selling it for on TCG Player. But I like to look at the cards and what they've done over in Japan. And I like to base it on that. And as a general rule, and there are exceptions, the Aerodactyl from Lost Origin being a nice one here. Not a nice one, but being a good example. There are exceptions where there are occasionally cards that are among the most expensive over here, despite the fact that they aren't there over in Japan. Gardevoir isn't one of them. It's just TCG Player with a couple of souls that are ending up listing it way too high. Because if we have a look over on eBay, it is a very, very different proposition. It is frankly not the same. Last couple of souls over on eBay, we got $100, best offer accepted on 80, and a best offer accepted on 65. Yeah, this isn't like a $150 card. This is absolutely, definitely not a $150 card. And that's good. That makes me happy. Because, like I say, I looked at this and I compared it to what we are expecting. And again, I know the prices in Japan and over here aren't exactly the same, but proportionally they're generally pretty close. Gardevoir looked a little bit too high. Well, wonderful news. That is actually a little bit too high. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Yay! Now, there are two other cards which I think are really showpieces for the set, so to speak. And one of them is Mew. And look, I've made absolutely no secret of the fact that I think this card is absolutely redonk. It's drawn by Uzgaman, who does phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal Pokemon fan art over on Twitter. And when I saw this card first time round, I thought it was a really nice mock-up using some of their fan art. And then it turned out it was actually like a legit real card, and that made me very happy indeed. And this is roughly at the moment coming around about $110 card. Which honestly, early doors seems about right. But again, we shouldn't be believing this. I mean, one thing I want you to realise is, if we look at the Scarlet and Violet era as a whole, right? And we look at the single most expensive special illustration rare Pokemon from the entirety of the Scarlet and Violet block as a whole right now, what we find is the Charizard EX from 151. That is the single most expensive special illustration rare from any Scarlet and Violet set. And it's like a $110 card. And this is a few months after release, when prices have had time to settle quite nicely, and we settled down at 110. And again, this is the number one card in the entirety of the Scarlet and Violet block, and it's at about 110. So paying 110 on release date for another special illustration rare, that just doesn't fit right with me. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. Because actually, you're basically betting day one that all of a sudden Mew is going to be the single most expensive, or joint single most expensive card, special illustration rare, in the Scarlet and Violet block, bearing in mind I've just shown you it's not the most expensive card in the set. And look, I know 151 was a special set, and so it is absolutely fair to suggest, well, hang on a second, what's see? If 151, the special set, gave us this expensive card, surely this set could give us an expensive card as well. And I say yes, that is absolutely possible. But if that happens, it's going to be Charizard. If we go and have a look over on eBay, we've got a couple of sales of this that are like 115 and 128, but somebody's gone to spend $150 on this on eBay. Somebody bid this up to $150 on day one. And my only question is, why? Why are you bidding this up so high, so quickly? And look, we've been doing this for a while at this stage. We know these prices are going to come down. I'm not saying don't buy these amazing cards as singles. There is an excellent chance I'm going to go and buy this card as a single because I love it. And, I mean, maybe I'll pull it. That would be nice. But let's face it, the odds aren't exactly in my favour. These special illustration rares have low pull rates. And even then, trying to pull the specific one I want is not exactly a given. But I'm telling you right now, I am waiting at least, an absolute minimum, a week before I buy anything, so that I can make sure that I'm not paying the ridiculous day one prices. And I'm sure in like a month it will make much more of a difference, but I honestly believe that 1 week is going to make a big difference in the price of a lot of these cards. Now there is a bit of a top four in this set, so I should show you Iono very quickly as well. Iono is coming in at pretty much a $100 card over on TCG Player. I mean, the last solds are 100, 195, so that kind of tells you everything you need to know there. It's pretty clear, honestly, at that stage. And then over on eBay, the last solds are 100, 100, and 125. It's sitting nicely at $100, and that's awesome. But again, we've done this with Iono before. We've got the Iono from Paldean Evolved, and sure, that started life as a, well, much more expensive card than this. It's now sitting nicely at like a $75, $80 card. Iono itself, in a previous set, couldn't get this much momentum, and it started with a lot more. So if the other Iono started at like 180, and then very quick, or 170, and very quickly dropped and is now sitting around like 80, does anyone really honestly believe this one's going to stick around 100 forever? The answer is obviously no. Give it at least a week, maybe a bit longer. Then we're going to start seeing these prices settle down quite nicely when the fear is starting to go down a little bit. And remember, we got 2 weeks and 4 weeks until the other drops of products are coming out, and that is going to make a difference as well. Right, that's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these, tell me how excited you are, tell me what your chase cards are for the set. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.